Hello everyone, Anita here and welcome to day 11 of the Inktober challenge. Today we are starting again a little bit different than before because as you can see I was fully set on doing the line work today. Just because, I just had the time, I wanted to do it, let's do it. But as you can see I'm hesitating. It's because I couldn't figure out from the position when I was sitting, I couldn't figure out what was happening on top of her hat. I just couldn't see the pencil lines. I was like, oh my god, what is happening? And so I decided, okay, you know what? I'm just going to align it off camera. And here I'm coming back with just a little bit of pencil work because I felt so bad. Just showing you how I'm painting that frame just to try and make the character balanced on the sheet of paper. And that kind of started me thinking about what you guys have also mentioned, I was thinking about before, using different camera angles for filming so that I don't have to cut you off everything else. And I figured that instead of using my big camera, I can try and use a phone camera. Now, I am not sure yet which one I will be using because I've tried two today. I've tried my own camera, my own phone, and my boyfriend's phone. So this is the footage from my boyfriend's sorry. This is the footage from my boyfriend's phone. And I'm really happy with it, and I'm lip smacking again. I'm not editing it out this time. Forget it. You can listen to me lip smacking. So this is my boyfriend's camera. He has some kind of Samsung. I'm not sure. I'm not really the tech savvy person. But as you can see, it looks pretty good. It was a pretty good footage. Now that I'm looking at it from on my computer, it just looks a little bit grainy in some places. I don't know if that's going to be edited out with rendering. If not, then I can already tell you I'm going to be using my iPhone just because it looks pixelated. I don't know if you guys see it. Please tell me if you do. You can see it around the edges of the paper. There's just some bits of pixelation. And that goes against, the quality that I want to achieve in my videos. I mean, I am not extremely good at editing. I really am not. It took me so long today to edit in those few extra pieces of footage just because I'm so used to the way I'm working. It's very, I don't have to think when I edit my videos. I just dump everything inside the, what am I even using? Sony Vegas. And I'm just making it smaller, flipping it around, adding some leveling with color. And I'm so used to that it actually took me a while to put those files in. It sounds so silly, I know. But in the end, I would really like to keep using it. So of course I'm going to get used to it. Because I think, it makes it easier on me. Because especially the little bit of footage when I was adding lines around the character, that's when it dawned on me that I could use my phone. Those little bits, I don't normally, like I told you, I don't normally record them just because I have to see what I'm doing and I can't from the position where I'm sitting. I'm sitting basically straight. I can't bend over my desk. And with this here, when I'm filling in the lines or adding shading, bigger washes, it doesn't matter. But with black and white, ink, you just have to be so careful because I just have to look really close to what I'm doing. So I think that's a really good compromise. I will be experimenting more with it just because, if I can use my phone, that's just so easy. so easy. So about the character maybe, because we are 4 minutes in now. The character is based on an idea of a candy witch. I don't know actually why I've added fox details to her, just the tail. It was supposed to be a fox. I know it looks more like a squirrel in the end. But some kind of animal features, I just felt like adding them. And I thought it would be really interesting to add a bit of just this shading to make the whole tail seem to be, just blending into the background. I really like that effect lately. And I've been experimenting to make it softer with the fur and the shiny details in the previous paintings. And so this is another try. I just like it a lot. And the idea here that I wanted to achieve is I really wanted to use white details in the background again. Last time I've used it, it was on the first day of Inktober. And last time I felt like the whole picture was a little bit too busy. And so what I've decided to do today is to try and mute the whole character. Well, not really mute, like as in it will be darker or anything, just quiet it down. Don't add any big patterns. Keep the colors rather... I wouldn't say muted because you can't be muted with ink. But so that there wouldn't be too much going on the character, and I could use that, the details in the background. Now, I don't know if I've actually achieved that because I love to add details, but I think I kept myself really in check as to, for the first time, trying to keep myself in control and add less details. I think I've done a very good job. So I wanted to have the dress of the character on the lighter tone. It's actually supposed to be white. Both hair and the dress, I wanted them to be white. That's what it was in my head. Or any other very light color. But, so to achieve that, I actually, goodness, I'm sorry. To achieve that, I wanted to have a nice darker, let's say, background to it. And so everything around the dress and the hair is darker because I wanted it to be just standing out on its own without me having to add any details or shading or anything like that. There is very minimal shading, at least in my belief, at least what I've done in the previous paintings. I feel like there is very minimal shading here. And I am very pleased with how it turned out in the end. I was very nervous, but all in all, I'm very happy. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I was struggling a little bit because, like I've mentioned before, I really wanted this picture to be... Here I'm showing off the shiny water because I'm usually putting the water for wet and wet washes off camera, just because it's easier for me to see all the... I have to kind of put it up and bend it on a certain angle to see, where the water is dropping. But, and I already lost my train of thought. Great. Oh, yes, I remember. So I really wanted today's picture to be rather on the easy side. I'm trying to go back. I'm basically spending way too much time working lately, and I'm going to sleep way too late. Oh, now drink. Talking is tiring. So I'm trying to basically cut back right now on the work and try to go back to sleep early today, because tomorrow I have to get up early because my accountant is coming in the morning. And I also want to go back to painting in the mornings because I'm starting to paint way too late. Today I started again around 1 and there is just nothing I can do about it because I don't use an alarm clock just because my boyfriend, comes back home early in the morning and he sleeps during the day. Well, during the morning hours, let's put it this way. And so I don't want to use an alarm clock because it will wake him up. And normally if I have a good rhythm, I wake up around at 8:30. Sometimes the neighbor kids are waking me up when they go to school. But because I'm going to sleep so late lately, I just wake up on my own at 10:30 or 10. And then I still have to eat my breakfast. I need to eat breakfast. I can't start doing anything without breakfast and coffee. And then, of course, I'm checking comments, responding to comments, checking email, so on, so forth, all the messages, all the other things I have to do. So before I actually go up to my studio, after my second coffee. It's already past 12. Before I prepare everything, it's around 1. It's just, and then I'm painting as fast as I can, but like today, right now, again, it's almost 6 when I'm recording the voiceover. So once again, the video will come out really late. And I know this is not a problem. I mean, wow, I really hope my boyfriend is sick. If he's gonna get me sick, this is not gonna happen to me. No, I refuse. Let's just get a sippy. Who else here is a fan of Graveyard Girl? I love her. So what I'm doing here, and this is something you can't really see on camera that well. It just doesn't show up. It shows up so much better in person. I've just used tons and tons little tiny strokes to create a fluffy tail, and it really does look fluffy. It looks so beautiful. I am so extremely happy with it. Sometimes when I'm adding lines to fur, it just comes out too sharp because I'm deciding to add, for example, only black. But when you do it tone on tone like this, and that's why I love to add those lines or any kind of really with any kind of details with the water brush, because it naturally keeps diluting your paint. So you get a variation of color, not just one flat color, you get a variation. It's not always good, of course, but sometimes in those, especially when you do shadows, it's perfect. I love it. And so I've added the same thing a little bit to the ears, but you can't really see it that well because the ears, for some reason, I couldn't make them stand out, and I blame all the detail on the hat. I think if I was to remake this character, I probably wouldn't have added so many things on top of her hat, because I wanted to add all kinds of sweets, of course. But I think that the background itself later on, and the character and the way she's just eating the little pokies, I don't remember how they are called. You know, the little pretzel sticks that are covered in chocolate. I think they're called pokies. Very, very, overrated, by the way, because I expected something amazing when I was eating them the first time, and they're just pretzel sticks in chocolate. Yeah. But, so basically, because I wanted to keep the character really toned down for that flashy background, all of a sudden that hat didn't fit so well anymore because it needed the shading, and the items needed to stand out on their own. I tried to tone it down. It just didn't want to work out. I mean, it looks good. I don't really have anything to say against it. But if I was to do it the second time, I would think a little bit more on the execution. That's probably also something, you know, when you do a daily piece like that. I mean, I've done the sketches before Inktober. But I've made a lot of sketches and I didn't really come back to them until Inktober. And as I go, of course, I change a lot of things, you know. A lot of the things that I put in the sketches are changed later on in the final painting. But still, I'm not putting as much thought into it as I would with a regular painting. So that's why. So here is a bit of extra footage, and this one is from my phone, and I have an iPhone 5S, I think. It's the old one. I actually got it. This is my second 5S, just because I don't care much about what kind of phone I have, unless it just has to make photos so I can post them on Facebook and Instagram, and I have to be able to check my messages on it. And that's pretty much all I need my phone for. But I really dislike the way it did the footage for me in the past. But now it does a pretty decent job. It just kind of how do you call it again? It lets too much light into the lens. Overexposes. That's what I wanted to. That's the word I was looking for. So it overexposes a little bit. For the first time ever, I actually had to darken my footage which was pretty interesting because I didn't know how to actually attempt doing that. Lightening footage is easy, darkening it is not so much. But in the end, it kind of blended it with the rest of the footage, so I'm happy. And of course, I would prefer to use my own phone to my boyfriend's phone because, you know, I don't have to borrow it from him all the time. I don't have to depend on him, you know, being at home or not needing his phone or whatever. So actually, I think I'll be using, at least for now, my own phone, and we will see how it goes. I mean, it looks pretty neat. I am very happy. Back to the painting, though, I love her dress. I wanted to have that, once again, because it's a white dress. I wanted the fabric to be very light and very airy. I had in my mind this kind of, not tulle, but something similar, also very light, very gathered at the bottom so that there's a lot of wrinkles in it, but it's still very fluffy, and I just loved it. I don't know if you guys can see it. Oh, here I tried to show you how fluffed up. Because of Inktober, the nib on this paintbrush got really fluffy. So I will have to get a new one soon. And I lost my thought again. This is so bad. I am so bad at these things. So bad. And the more I'm doing Inktober, the more I'm losing the train of thought. I think it's also would help if I was recording earlier because my mind is still fresh at 3, like it should be. But at 6, I'm just so stressed because I want to get this thing out as soon as possible. I'm hungry because my dinner I'm gonna be eating dinner soon, and it would be much better if I actually recorded it earlier. We will do it. It's only the second week right now, so. Yeah, so now I'm adding just a bit of definition to the edges because I felt that, you know, with all the dark colors in the background, some of the lines are sometimes disappearing on me. I do a very, very light line art. Excuse me. I don't know what's happening to my throat. So because I'm doing the line art so lightly in the beginning, I often have to go back and just darken some of the lines because they disappear in the darker colors, of course. So I have to make them thicker. I suppose that's when you are adding the line weight, at least in my case. Instead of doing it in the beginning, I tend to do it in the end. And now I'm starting on the white details and the white background. And here I'm adding some pencil lines. Just to make sure that everything is okay. I mean, I knew that where I wanted everything, but I didn't want to mess it up. So I've decided to add very, very delicate lines first and then draw on top of them. So we have a few, I just wanted to add like candy to the background, and then a few donuts, some stars. And once again, the same as when I've done it on the first day of Inktober, I actually was very nervous adding these details because I felt it was just too sharp, too much. I don't know, it's just the first initial shock, I suppose. Everything started blending together, and it did. I mean, you know, if you like these kind of effects, that's good. But for me, it just lacked definition. Everything was blending into each other. And so I started thinking what I could do to have some of the, let's say, candy or some of the items, the food things, some of the things basically stand out. Because while I was adding those, I really can't speak today. While I was adding those things, it just started to be really busy, and I really didn't like it at this point. I kept going because I had the same feelings on the first day of Inktober, and it came out really well. So instead of just going with it and leaving it like that, I started thinking what else I could do to enhance the background. And In the meantime, I'm adding white details because my brain is still thinking about what to do in the background. And I did that off camera because I really thought I was done. And so you can see here that I've actually added background to the candy, a little swirly pattern, and that made them pop because they were, you know, almost solid. And then I've started adding dots around the edges just because I felt that, you know, commitment. Let's commit to the white details. And I started adding little stars because I don't know if you guys can actually see it or not. I think it's pretty obvious to me, at least, that she's floating. She's actually floating, not standing. And so I thought, you know, maybe she's in a candy heaven, in candy space. And so I thought about it for a second and I decided to add a little bit of stippling, first with the white gel pen, and then I've decided to start the camera again for you guys to have that little bit of recording left. And I've added, when I added the first stippling, the black stippling to the background, I was like, why are you doing this to yourself? Why? You know it's gonna take you forever to be satisfied with it. But I kept going and it actually went much faster than I expected. And in the end, I was really happy. I felt that the background was much more complete. And even though it was busier than what I've anticipated, for some reason, it all kind of nicely tied together and nothing stood out too much, just enough. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. I'm going to go eat dinner now because I'm really hungry. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!